Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Irfan Hussain, and I'm here with a new topic of our novel, that is Twilight in Delhi. And today we'll discuss the use of symbolism, or the use of symbols by Ahmad Ali in the novel. The very title, Twilight in Delhi, as this picture indicates, is itself a symbol of downfall. We know that Delhi, as Delhi had been the capital of Mughal Empire, to create Mughals, but uh, when we say that twilight in Delhi, when we say that fall of Delhi, it means that it is the fall of whole Muslim empire, Muslim culture, and shows the weakness and demise of Muslim in subcontinent. Twilight in Delhi is full of symbols, full of symbolism, and we will try to uh, discuss a few symbols that are more important in the novel, and that gives a complete complete outlook that Ahmad Ali wants to give to his readers. The first, as already I have said, that the twilight itself is a symbol that tells about the downfall, the end, the demise of Muslim rule over subcontinent. In the beginning, we see the palm tree in Haveli of Mir Nihal. We see that the palm tree is there and it has green leaves. That is a symbol of life. That is a symbol of youth. That is a symbol of survival. But the same palm tree is shown as a fruitless, as a leafless tree. That tells that all the leaves have been fallen. That tells that all the hopes of life, hope of all the hopes of Muslim revival now have been ended. So this transition from a green tree into a leafless, lifeless tree shows about the death of the hopes, death of the rule of Muslim empire in subcontinent. Then another symbol that is later transformed is the symbol of pigeon and kite. These were the healthy activities, the both were the activities of life that showed the uh, living style as well, and also that shows a kind of enthusiasm in the life by Muslims. And at the same time, it also shows that how Muslims indulged in fruitless activities. They had nothing to do. They did not have any kind of practical pursuit, any kind of practical purpose in their lives. So they killed their time while keeping pigeons, flying kites, and throughout the novel we see that most of their discussions are about the pigeons and the kites, and their rivalry is about pigeons. They are not rival in something productive, they are not competing in something productive, but they are living their lives as fruitless, effortless as is something that can be done in layer. And later we see that Mir Nihal forgets to uh, lock the cage of the pigeons, and when he comes back he sees that the cat attacks the pigeons, and she She has killed most of the pigeons in on his roof. That also shows that Muslims could not preserve their traditions, that Muslims could not preserve their culture, that Muslims could not preserve their rule. Rather, they are exposed to the colonialism of British Empire and the uh, carelessness of Mir Nihal in locking the cage of pigeon shows that symbolizes that if Muslims were dominated by British Empire, that was because the Muslims could not guard their home, they could not guard their dominion. And cat is a symbol of British colonialism, British Empire, and the pigeon here is a symbol of Muslim weakness, and that weakness was well captured by, well exploited by British Empire. Then there is a big symbol of the dresses of Asghar, the son of Mir Nihal. He wears English dress. Mir Nihal doesn't like it. He always opposes it. He, even when Asghar gets married with Bilqis, he buys English dresses for Bilqis. There are two aspects now. We see that in the beginning, Mir Nihal protests against the use of that English dress. But at the end, we see that Mir Nihal is now silent and now he has accepted it. One, it means that Muslims gradually accepted the British uh, influence in their society. And the other is that the new generation is already now comfortable with British people. They have accepted their rule, they have accepted their influence, and they don't feel shy to accept the culture of the foreigners of the West. Then there is an element of feminism when the daughter of Mir Nihal is married to an ugly man. That is a little episode we see, and we see that he's a very ugly man. And when the daughter is reported by her brother, she was shocked. And initially, Mir Nihal protests and Mir Nihal resists about it. And we see how the marriage was decided that even the family of Sohra, the family of Mir Nihal, didn't see the bridegroom, and they saw the bridegroom when the Barat arrived at the Haveli of Mir Nihal. And then Mir Nihal resists and he refuses to marry his daughter to such an ugly man. But he is convinced by his son, and they convince him by saying that it will be a bad name for their family if the Barat goes back without the bride. That also shows about the culture, and the feministic point of view is explained here, rather is given by Ahmad Ali, that the social repute or so-called social repute is even more important than the real lives. And we see that this marriage was not successful in the sense that she was never happy with her husband, and she was exploited, she was tortured physically and mentally by him. And we see that after a long period, we again come across the daughter of Mir Nihal, and we see that she had been very unhappy in her married life. Then there is another element, that is of the Darwesh, of Malangs, of so-called Sufis, and the superstitions of these people. Now see, now they're not practical, and now they wait for some miracle for everything. To do anything, they do not do something practical. To achieve anything, they do not do something practical. They depend upon the wazaif, they depend upon the amulets, they depend upon the kambalcha, they depend upon other people like that. That also shows so their listlessness, their laziness, and their approach of doing nothing. And they want to get things without uh, doing anything. And it also shows that they have lost control. They have nothing in their hands, and now they can just wait for the miracles. And the role of kambalcha is, although not very important in the story, but it shows an important element aspect of the society, that how people now have become superstitious, and they are just trying to get things through these metaphysical ways. Then there is another uh, symbol, that is a lady Babanjan, who is you can say the beloved. She was a prostitute, and Minhal has permanently engaged her. He has got a house for her. And what is that? What does that symbolize? One is the culture of those people. They are completely indulged in the sexual activities, and this is their pleasure, and they are away from the serious pursuits of life. We see this in the life of Asghar when he gets fed up from fed up of Bilqis, and we see it with Mir Nihal as well. And the death of Babanjan also indicates that a life, whatever is the kind of life, but it still needs some kind of motive. We see that Mir Nihal works, he does job to earn some money, but as soon as Babanjan dies, he leaves everything, and he thinks that for whom now he needs to do anything. So when the life becomes purposeless, it becomes dull. So life needs some purpose to go on, and Muslims in subcontinent, because they lost their purpose, they lost their aims, so they became dead. Then the same kind of activity as we discussed in the topic of superstitions, that was alchemy. That Mir Nihal, along with these Darwish and other people, he tries to make gold out of other things, and that is a fruitless activity. And we see a kind of post-modern element in this activity, as what is the stance of the postmodernists, that the human life is futile, and they go on along with the same kind of circle as we see in Waiting for Godot, that they are just waiting for Godot and waiting every day, starts their day with the same routine and ends their day with the same routine. And this is what's happening with us, that we start our day and it ends, and again starts and it ends, and there's nothing new. So that is a postmodernist element in that novel, that we see that they are busy in the kind of activity that has not any kind of output. They're trying to make gold out of other ores and other elements, and they repeat the cycle. They start the work, they fail, they start the work, they fail, they resume the work, they fail, and they are going on with that futile activity. And that also shows the futile life of the Muslims of subcontinent. They have nothing to do, so they are killing their times in this way. And again, what I asserted in that matter of superstitions, that they are not doing practical things, but they are trying to get things out of some other ways that are not the real ways. So they are not working hard for their economy, they are not working hard for their survival, but they are doing these kind of things that are futile, and they are that are fruitless. We see that end of Mir Nihal. He doesn't die, and if he dies, it means that this is not twilight. This is the night. As twilight is the end of the day, we see Mir Nihal in his bed with his end, the last days of his life. He doesn't die in the novel because it is twilight, and the writer shows the twilight of his life as well. And his life, his twilight, his demise also symbolizes the demise of Indian culture and tradition of Indian Muslims, because Mir Nihal is himself a symbol of Muslims or Muslim traditions, Muslim cultures in subcontinent. And we see then that Mir Nihal is helpless. He cannot move from his cot. He cannot do anything, and he accepts everything that was not acceptable for him in his prime time. Blindness of the wife of Mir Nihal, that is also a symbol. One, that she was blind on the facts. She could not see the facts. She could not perceive the real situation of her home, and this blindness shows the blindness of the Muslims. They could not perceive what was happening to them and what was going to happen with them, and they were captured, they were dominated in their blindness towards seeing the British invasion and British rule. Thank you very much. This is all for today, and there are other symbols as well. I discussed a few with you, and while reading this novel, you can find a lot of symbols as well. I hope that it will be beneficial for you, and if you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you very much. God bless you.